Welcome to the special edition of Investor Ideas podcast with a spotlight on the cannabis sector. Recently attending the ArcView Investor Forum at the Westin Bayshore in Vancouver, BC, we got to interview some of the most influential thought leaders in the sector. Over the next coming week, tune in to hear guests such as Troy Dayton from ArcView, Sean McCabe from Electrum Partners, and Mike Gorenstein from the first publicly traded NASDAQ cannabis company. And many more, including an exclusive interview with a startup winner from the forum. You will hear thoughts on emerging markets, key data from the US and Canada, and how tech plays a role in the cannabis sector and what it takes to become a success in this industry.
Here with Mike Gorenstein, CEO of CRON Group. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. How are you?
Very good. So CRON Group is the first NASDAQ-listed cannabis company. How did you guys achieve this, and do you see sort of colleagues and competitors following suit in the coming years?
Yeah, I think the main thing was building our company in a very compliant, institutional, and respectable way, and sort of approaching the NASDAQ and just being able to present ourselves as a business, not as hey, we're a pot company, but we are a medicinal cannabis company. This is what our business model is, and I think it was receptive. It's the way that we approached it, and it's a relationship we built, and we hope that other companies do also go. A lot of people ask, what do you think happens? I think it's an evolution, and if you believe that the cannabis industry will continue to evolve, you will see other companies be able to achieve the listing. And it's the answer is really boring. People always hope that there's like some sexy story, but it's are you ready to comply with Sarbanes-Oxley? Have you put in place internal controls, corporate governance, everything down to actual cybersecurity policies? So what you're doing is preparing for SEC regulation, which is a very high threshold, whether you're a cannabis company or you're a tech company. I think others will join. I think it's a good thing for the industry.
Talk a bit about emerging markets, specifically like Latin American markets like Colombia, and what kind of role they might play in the coming years as the market matures.
Well, the reality is that the source materials are always, for the most part, it's an agricultural product. And if you look at where it makes sense to grow the product, climate does matter, labor costs matter. And Colombia, you will have a massive cost advantage. And it's not just Colombia. There's a number of countries near the equator. And Israel, one of the main things that was attractive about Israel is the cost of production was significantly lower. In Canada, we have to worry about the build cycle because if you are constructing and it runs into the winter, it's very expensive to get through. It can cause massive delays. In Israel, we can build year-round. We can produce cheaper. The cost of building, you don't need the same infrastructure because the natural sunlight, it's less humid. When you think of Apple, they don't make all their iPhones in California. And if you want to be cost competitive and you still want to get a high quality product to a consumer at a reasonable price, it is going to be important to take advantage of different structural pros and cons of countries. In Colombia, Latin America, there's always going to be a very, very strong built-in advantage based off climate.
You mentioned Israel. Talk more about your decision to work in Israel. Does Israel still have an edge? Does it face more competition?
Well, Israel, as a starting point, it's going to be one of the lowest cost jurisdictions we'll have. What we really liked about it more than anything is, first, there will be a domestic market. Second, and the most important thing about Israel, because I always say cost of production was one of the main or most important factors, but never the most. Mm-hmm. The most important factor is the opportunities for research and development and technology. What ultimately will separate the winners from we'll call them not winners, is going to be technology, innovation, and I think that ties in everything. And Israel has been by far the leader in cannabis research for decades. THC was first identified in Israel. The universities there all focus on cannabis. It's very interesting because in the U.S. and Canada, what you're seeing is a black market, a gray market that's been around for years, and it's been a commercial system that's now trying to evolve and move into this legal framework. But in Israel, you actually have a bunch of scientists and professors that's been the market in Israel. It's all been research, and now they're trying to figure out how to become commercial. So for us, putting our own operation in Israel, being able to get access to all that just historical talent, knowledge, and experience was huge. The opportunities for development of products, You've got a lot of people that have recently been departing Teva that gave us access to more formulation talent. So it made a lot of sense, and it's really a product development play, and I don't think you're ever going to lose. Startup Nation's a lot of innovation that always will come out of Israel.
InvestorIdeas.com reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website. All investment involves risk, and this podcast is not meant to be an endorsement to buy or sell securities or products. To hear more podcasts, you can go to www.investorideas.com/audio. And a reminder, you can also hear our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeart.com, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker, and SoundCloud.